Coffee with Tim Black. My first story is a very difficult story to do because it concerns the death of a 13-year-old young man in East Columbus, Ohio. A man was robbed at gunpoint by a couple of men, and he said that one of the men who robbed him was carrying a gun. Now, I don't know if he referred to them as teenagers or men, but obviously these were teenagers. At least the young man who was shot later, his name was Tyree King. He is 13 years old. Tyree King, apparently, according to police reports, he fled from the police, as did the rest of the boys, down an alley. Police chased him, and at some point, according to police, Tyree King turned around and exposed what appeared to be a firearm. Now, the firearm in question turns out to be a BB gun, and Tyree King turns out getting shot a number of times. He later died at a nearby hospital. And this also happens to add in Ohio, where we know Tamir Rice lost his life with a toy gun. Now, the similarities between this case end at the fact that Tamir Rice had a toy gun, because everything else about it is a little bit different, in my opinion, and vast differences. One was, no one said this looks like a toy. Second, this toy, or this BB gun, which isn't really a toy, it's a toy, but it does shoot something, projectiles. It was used in a robbery. What do we got to do to get some freaking body cameras so we don't have to rip apart America every time somebody gets shot by a cop, particularly when the victim or the deceased is black? What do we got to do? You got money to buy special tanks and battle gear and protective gear, but you don't have money for freaking body cameras. And I'm pissed about it because this is all avoidable. Of course the parents have responsibility. Of course this young man was doing the wrong thing. But we like to see this for ourselves because I'm very skeptical when it comes to police stories. I just am. I'm sorry, no offense to you specifically, but they said Laquan McDonald lunged at him. And they said they only shot him once. They shot him like 10 times, and he never lunged. And this is all after when we looked at the body camera. So excuse me for not just lock and stir or believing an officer who I don't know. The last thing I want to say about this situation is I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this young man has lost his life doing something as stupid and foolish and criminal as this. Obviously had no real intentions of hurting people. It wasn't a real gun. It's just to scare people and get money. I would like to know the economic situation of a young man who feels that he has to rob people. We don't want to address these types of issues because it's easy to say these kids are not trained properly and they're just bad kids whose parents must go to the club every night and don't know where the kids are and these types of things. But there's so many ripples, there's so many other angles we can look at this story, but the one angle we always fail to look at is what are we doing about it? All right. Next story. Donald Trump was at a Flint, Michigan church, a black church, because now he's on the I Don't Hate Black People tour. And he's looking for votes and support, which no one should fault him for because Hillary does the same thing all the time. Come on. All right. So let's get off that kick. That's what they do. All right. But while he was in Flint, Michigan at this one black church, he was interrupted while he was speaking by one of the parishioners there who said, "This is not why we brought you here, Donald. We didn't bring you here for you to start bashing Hillary," because that's what he started doing. And then next thing you know, people were shouting from the pew or what have you, you know, what do you do? What do you say about African Americans? What'd you say about them? What'd you say about us? What'd you say about us? And this became a cluster. And then there were some people who were also saying, let the man speak, let the man speak. But he ended up not speaking. He left. And now Trump is hitting back saying, well, you know what? I knew this was a setup all along because she was nervous, so nervous, very, very, very nervous. When she was introducing me, she planned to do this. Listen, man. Hillary got a lock on the churches. Oh, yeah, she got a lock on the churches. You know how many people just want to take a picture with her? They'll just peddle her message all across America, all across the pews. So it's unfair, it is. But Trump, your reputation does precede you, sir. With all that press you got, all that free ink of press that you've received over this election, you can't fault people for not liking you. You make incendiary comments that make you seem like a bigot, and I don't know you personally enough to call you one, but yeah, you sound like one, okay? You group all black people, you group all Mexicans, you group all immigrants or illegal immigrants, you group all women, and you make these sweeping, generalized comments, unhinged, just talking. And you know what? That only plays well with a small segment of society. Now, Trump, I don't know if you ever really intended on running to be the president for real, you know? But when you get a bunch of free publicity, which is 90% bad, don't be surprised if you get a bad reception. If you wanted people to listen to you and not have preconceived notions, maybe you should think big and stop being so small-minded in your approach to media publicity. But hey, it's just me. What do I know? I'm just a man who talks loudly on the internet. Next story. The family of Sandra Bland is to receive a $1.9 million settlement in a civil case. Now, this civil case stems from what you all know, the death of Sandra Bland. Part of it is for the death, and the other parts are for the failure to follow police procedures there in Wheeler County, Texas, where she should have never been arrested to begin with. She should have never been apprehended. She should have never been put into custody in the treatment that Sandra Bland received that we never would have known about if we hadn't seen that video camera or that body cam footage, right? That's why it's so important. What else can I say about it? It's a horrific case. It punctuates a series of deaths of African Americans, either in custody or during apprehension, that leaves us wondering, when will there be justice? And it keeps happening, as in the case of Freddie Gray, Eric Garner. Paying people once they're dead is really not the best way, though money is the only form of compensation you can give. Or maybe we start reforming these police departments that train officers to cherry pick African Americans and driving while blacks and, I don't know, driving while Latinos and driving while looking poor. I don't know. Maybe that would be a way to go. And stop worrying about stat sheets and raising money for the state or the county and worry more about protecting the citizens, which you're supposed to be hired to do. But hey, once again, I'm just a loudmouth on the internet. Speaking truth. Next story. Now, this story is very interesting. For this, I'm going to put on my fake reading glasses and make me look more studious. Yeah. Clinton ally offers money for information on Trump. Clinton ally David Brock has launched a new site modeled after WikiLeaks that offers cash rewards in exchange for information about Donald Trump. The site, called Trump Leaks, was created by Brock's pro-Clinton super PAC, Correct the Record, and is calling for tipsters to provide damaging information about Trump, though they call only for information obtained legally. But we're not the press, he said. That's right, you're not the press, but you sure pressed hard on Bernie Sanders supporters, didn't you, Brock? Trolling us online. In fact, I think some of your trolls are still employed by the Clinton campaign. I find you very annoying. A scumbag individual, Brock. You and your funky little super PAC trying to generate fake optimism for your candidate, using any means necessary, as you described, to hound anyone who does not agree that in the coronation of Madam Clinton. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in to Coffee with Tim Black. See me tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to Jimmy Dore, who will be joining my show next week, hopefully. And Killer Mike, where you at, bruh? Trying to get at you. And what else? What else? Oh, Keith Olbermann. I was glad to see you come back, sir. It's been a dry spell without you here in the media world, but I am disappointed that you came back on a Hillary kick, so to speak. I would look for your next segment to table leg your recent Trump 171 lies about Trump. I'm thinking maybe you could find at least 171 about Hillary Clinton if you really dug for him. You know, like you used to do back in '08. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Go to TimberlakeTV.com. Subscribe to this channel. Once again, did you like this? Was this cool? All right. I hope so, man. If so, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. I will see you tonight. Until then, like I always say, don't you let nobody take your cornbread. My condolences to the family of Tyree King and Sandra Bland. And for peaceful resolutions, we need body cams. Coffee with Tim Black.